Hi, I'm Sarah Cowgill, along with Tim Donner, Andrew Moran, Dave Patterson, Joe Schaefer. This is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Americans are almost reflexively cringing when President Joe Biden makes a public appearance. For decades, his mental decline and frail condition has increasingly worsened right before our eyes, from shaking hands with invisible friends, getting lost on the South Lawn, heck, even tripping over obvious stage props like sandbags. Folks are worried. Democrats, never Trumpers, big box media are turning the catchphrase of cognitive decline around on Donald Trump. Well, God save the Queen. Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump are not on the same playing field here. Andrew, our vault of weird facts, is here to explain the phenomena.
Well, the beer brewed here is used to make the brew beer here is Definer. Ooh, Earth Rider. Thanks for the Great Lakes. So if you're not someone who's a biographer, if you're not someone who's a biographer of Biden's amazing wit and intellect, this was him speaking at recently at a brewery. So as everyone knows, Biden is not exactly a spring chicken, and it shows every single time he makes a public appearance, whether it's scripted or unscripted. Instead of admitting this, the media is now adopting a new tactic of trying to claim Trump's cognition is on the decline. So maybe people watch this or not. During a recent speech, Trump, he was talking about how Nikki Haley didn't provide him enough security on January 6th, although he was talking about Nancy Pelosi. The media went apoplectic about this. Joe Scarborough of MSNBC called this disturbing. Now, it's absolutely absurd to me how they this the strategy, because yes, was it a bad look for Trump? Absolutely. But I think the ratio is for every Trump blunder, there's 25 of them for Biden. Just in January alone. This is a list of what he's done. He wore a construction hat backward. He called Tesla Tulsa. He took a picture with a congresswoman, although she wasn't even at an event. And then, of course, on his record, he's made so many incorrect assertions. And that's just a tip of the iceberg. So his cognitive decline is so apparent. And Trump, for give him benefit of the doubt, he's had a trial. He's campaigning. He's holding rally. He's doing all these things, and he never sleeps. So I think, just considering the state of things, given the benefit of the doubt, if he substitutes Nikki Haley for Nancy Pelosi, and considering their politics, they're pretty much the same anyway.
Well, do you think the misstep, Joe, was as disturbing as Joe Scarborough thought it was? I mean, he literally looked like he was going to cry.
I don't think Joe Scarborough was relevant in 2016. Trump made him relevant by responding to him. If he would just ignore him now, no one would even be paying, a bit of attention to Joe Scarborough. It's amazing how some of these zombie journalists, if you call them that, are still around. Lawrence O'Donnell still has a talk show at MSNBC. I haven't thought about that guy in years. And that's sort of the way you think about Joe Scarborough. You don't think about him at all, but he pops up every now and then. For them to pursue this tack against Donald Trump, everybody knows Donald Trump is a genetic freak of nature. He's just a ball of energy. The guy eats Kentucky Fried Chicken and McDonald's, and he's got more energy than like most 25-year-olds. There's some kind of genetic freak of nature going on here. He's a dynamo. Why would they want to go down this road, especially with what they have with Biden? The smart thing is not to talk about it at all and bring up anything else. For them to present this as a defense of Biden is crazy. This is to me, one of Trump's core strengths is just the dynamic ball of energy that he is. So this is just helping him to the extent that anyone's paying attention to Joe Scarborough, which, like I said, I don't think anybody is.
Yeah, you go on Truth Social. You see Trump. He's on Truth Social at 2:00 in the morning, 3:00 in the morning, railing against Democrats and Nancy Pelosi and the media and all these people. It's just astounding. I watched his clip when he was, I think it was in the 1980s. He was on Dave Letterman, and he was saying he's not someone who needs a lot of sleep. This guy is nearly 80, and he's still not sleeping much. I wish I had his energy. I'm 36. And
he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he really is. And the Democrats are making exactly the same mistake they made with Bidenomics. By trying to attach a clever moniker to the issue, they made things worse because it pointed more attention at inflation and rising prices and gas prices and grocery prices and energy bills. And this time they're trying to say that, well, it's not just Biden. Donald Trump shows his age too. All that does is make Biden look even worse because, this is who are you going to believe? You or your lying eyes. Everybody can see that Joe Biden is increasingly incapable of really fulfilling, if not the responsibilities of the position, at least the confidence of the American people. And with I just listened to a Democratic pollster on another podcast, and he was talking about all these clever moves that Biden can make to win back all the Black and Hispanic and young voters that he's lost since 2020. And this strategy, that strategy, all I keep thinking is, you know what? To sell something, you got to have the product. And no matter what they do with Joe Biden, you can put a bonnet on a warthog, but it's still a warthog.
But Tim, if you're speaking of strategy, the best strategy Biden has now, he says, if you want to stop Donald Trump, you don't matter win in America unless you get the benefit.
And then he gets cheered.
What did you even just say? Seriously, what did you even just say?
That's the point.
Go bad with a man in America, unless you get benefit.
Do you remember, I don't remember if this was 2016 or 2020, but I remember my friends and I emailed each other about it. We couldn't get enough of it. How little they understand Trump's resonance with average Americans. They tried to make a big deal about him having just pedestrian taste for like what he eats. And they said like he insists on having little jars of Heinz ketchup. They would have to open it in his presence to hear the pop. For urbanite Democrats, he's like, oh, what a joke. For the rest of Americans, it's like, hey, I think that's great too. I love that pop, I love that little pop when I open the ketchup jar. So they don't really even understand how Trump resonates with normal Americans because they are completely unable to resonate with normal Americans themselves.
They don't want to understand the Trump phenomenon. They keep themselves distant from it when, in fact, if they tried to understand it, they could probably appeal to some of those voters who are completely turned off by the political establishment, but because they see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, and act like these people are a bunch of yahoos who drool at the side of their mouths. They do that to their own peril, as they did in the deplorable election of 2016. See if
Middle America is strong. Middle America is pretty strong. I mean, they're very on it about voting. I mean, they feel it's their God-given right to do it around here, and it is. And the other thing is, ketchup is a vegetable in the Midwest. Just letting you know that up front. So is biscuits and gravy. Just so you know. But what I remember about Joe Biden, studying him in the late 70s and early 80s. Okay, so he plagiarized, and so he told big old lies. But what he didn't do was falter. He really was pretty on it and with it. And we've just seen this over and over and over. And I kind of wonder if it's, the brain surgery, the post-brain surgery, that maybe he's, just really that's the decline and there's no stopping it. He's like a rolling train downhill.
Yeah, it's important to point out that not once, but twice, within 6 months, Joe Biden suffered brain aneurysms in 1988, I believe it was. And basically what the medical community says, if you have one aneurysm, your chances of surviving are pretty good. If you have two, you're 50-50 at best. And we didn't see the effects of that over many years. You saw him debate Paul Ryan in 2012. You've seen him over the years. but it seems to have really impacted him in his upper 70s and into his 80s because he is suffering dementia beyond the level that a person at his age should, at least in public, and we don't know what to say about in private.
Well, I got to tell you, here's another thing that I'm a little bit I'm amazed at is that they're the media, the big box media is fact checking Donald Trump in real time. Like anytime he gives a speech, they're fact checking it, and you don't see anybody doing that. They protect Joe Biden from his own inabilities. And I don't see how that is even not called on the carpet. I don't get it.
They're just scouring every single Trump speech with a fine-tooth comb, looking for some kind of a misstep, some kind of a misstatement, so that they can claim, look, Donald Trump is just as demented as Joe Biden. That's their goal. Good luck with it.
I mean, you have to realize, we're in tough economic times under the Biden administration, and the excuse that the major political fact checkers give is that their budgets just don't allow for the number of staff that it would take to fact check Biden's speeches. After deciphering them, of course, Andrew. Biden uses this word creatively. But the truth is that most of the employment increase is still due to recovering jobs lost under the coronavirus pandemic. That 250,000, not quite. It was about half of that. So give credit where credit is due. PolitiFact did actually take a look at this and found that the Pinocchio noses were for everyone to see.
But look at Snopes. Look at Snopes recently with that picture of Joe Biden wearing the construction helmet backward. They initially said that it was true. He did wear it backward. But then they wrote an entire article claiming it was actually false, that what you saw with your own eyes wasn't accurate because apparently construction workers do wear their construction helmets backward for whatever reason. I mean, there's a construction project across from my house, and I see construction workers there all the time, and they're wearing the construction helmet correctly. So these
but that's just in Canada. That's just in Canada.
Yeah,
Here,
Canada's weird.
In the United States, we wear it backwards, Andrew. Didn't you know that? Come on.
He's a
Until he shows
trendsetter.
up with his suit jacket on backward, and then they're going to have to come up with something on that one.
Let's say one nice thing about Biden, because it's like my parents used to say when I complained about someone. Now, say something nice about him. Okay. You got to admit, the guy is probably the best dressed president we've had. He's got an awesome tie collection that I would love to have. That's it.
I guess I sort of noticed
I
that.
don't even like that. I don't even know. I don't even think
I
that's
do.
the case.
He has. I'd like to know who picks his ties.
Well,
Probably
Well,
Jill.
I wonder how
Probably
tight they
Dr.
are when Jill puts them on there.
Probably Dr. Jill.
I think Dave makes an important point, though. It's, we can talk about his cognitive decline and all, but if America was cooking, the economy was doing well, and we were all thriving, no one would mind. He'd be like a more geriatric Dwight Eisenhower, or the idea of what Eisenhower was as a president. But it is his absolutely disastrous policies, what he's doing to this country, that is going to hurt him a lot more than even the most ridiculous and inane verbal mistakes that he makes on a regular basis. When it comes down to it, is this guy's got a record now. He didn't have it in 2020. We've got a record of what it is like under Joe Biden, and that to me is a million times more damaging than all of the gaffes, which of course don't help him at all either.
Well, if Andrew's tally is on the mark, and he is a famous numbers kind of guy, it seems Mr. Biden has racked up more alarming antics than Mr. Trump. We'll let you make that call. Thanks, panel. Thanks for watching. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel, where you can see all of our TV productions. I'm your host, Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today, for free thinking, free speech, LibertyNation.com.
Don't get caught up in the media madness. Join our movement for free thinking and free speech at LibertyNation.com. Publishing news and analysis 24/7 with original articles by our team of authors who tell it like it is. Join us each week for online TV shows, The Uprising Podcast, and Liberty Nation Radio. We believe in free thinking and free speech. We are LibertyNation.com.